Welcome. This short video will be exploring the mental states that we will all be experiencing over the next few months as the changes that we are going through and the changes that are being imposed upon us begin to take hold. So you will notice that at the moment most people are in a state of shock. Now, some of this shock may be mild, some of this shock may be severe. The question is, how did this happen? How come we are in our homes? How come all those things that we took for granted we can't do? We can't go out for a coffee. We can't meet our friends. We can't go to our social places. How did this happen? So we begin our mental state with a state of disbelief, a state of shock. From the shock arises disbelief, doubt, where we are now starting to question, is this really happening? Is this the way it's going to be? What will happen tomorrow? How long will this take place? How long will this be going on? Again, we begin to experience these states of disbelief, these states of shock. And as we progress further, this disbelief, this shock will soon enough become anger. Anger, why? Because we are being kept away from that which we took for granted. Anger because we can't understand quite what's happening. Anger because we are losing control, and we have lost control. Anger because we wish to do something about what's going on. So these states, which begin with shock, disbelief, will soon enough begin to show itself through protests, through conflict, through anger, through energy, wishing to do something different, wanting to change the situation. A level of non-acceptance as well. Watching all those things that we are attached to, how we are being prevented from accessing them. And it is these attachments that we have, and the fact that we are unable to really make any use of these attachments, and we can see how these attachments have been threatened, how they're being taken away from us, that we are starting to now see that this is something that is not just a blip in our timeline, but maybe this is something far more significant. Once we begin to move through anger, soon enough we will then explore the mental state and experience the mental state of depression, loss of hope, not knowing quite what to do, feeling trapped. Depression is a state in which we feel trapped. And when we feel trapped, our flight-fright response system that was initiated as a result of the anger and the fear that we experienced earlier on will ensure that our physiological changes are such that we can't sleep well, we feel irritable, we feel agitated, our eating habits change, our ability to communicate and tolerate changes. All of these are as a result of feeling trapped, which is why it's critical to recognize that we will go through these stages of mental experiences, emotional experiences. And if we recognize that there are in fact several states of mind that we will be going through and are going through, in fact many people are experiencing this now, that we understand what's happening to us and perhaps we can do something about it. And finally, after depression, after coming to terms, we may get towards acceptance. So these 5 states are very similar to the states of grief: shock, disbelief, anger, depression, and acceptance. While these are the psychological states which are harmful and can trap us in particularly unhealthy states of being, there is also an opportunity to explore something transpersonal, to explore self-development, to explore growth. So let's look at the same 5 states, but from a Gurmat perspective, from the teachings of Guru Nanak. In the Gurmat perspective, there are 5 states of consciousness that we can experience through our evolution. Dharm Khand, which is a state of ethics. Gyan Khand, which is a state of knowing, wisdom, knowledge. Sharm Khand, which is the state of internal development. Here, our awareness, our worldview, our thinking, and our sense of self begin to transform. This is where we begin to exercise intention. This intention then becomes our actions, which is Karam Khand, actions. And those actions then take you to a state of Sach Khand, which is a state of non-duality, it's a state of contentment, it's a state of harmony. So if we just explore these briefly, Dharm Khand, this is what you're going through now, where you have to decide what feels right. What feels right for you? At this moment, you will have noticed that simply by bombarding everyone with fear-inducing language, the whole population, like sheep, have been made to act in particular ways. There is more coverage on this virus at the moment than there is on anything else. There are more people dying of starvation. There are more people dying of wars, unjustified wars, wars which are to do with greed, wars which are to do with stealing other resources. Yet we don't hear about that. All we hear is how many people have died here, how many people have died in another country. 24/7. Ask yourself the question, why is our media constantly shoving this fear language down your throats? Why? If you can't work this out for yourself, then I'm afraid you will be subject to the power play of others. So Dharm Khand, coming to your own ethical space, your internal ethics, where you know what is right within yourself. We all know there are many people deep within themselves are questioning what's going on because it doesn't feel right. And you are right to question this. You are right to question this because it isn't right. There are much bigger agendas behind this, which over the next few months will become quite apparent as the exposures begin to take place. Out of Dharm Khand, once we begin to recognize what is right for us, we then need to combine this with the understanding, with the knowledge, with information. Not just information that is shoved down our throats by the mind-controlling media, but informations from those who know what they're talking about. Those who have been talking about this for many, many years. We need to access those individuals with wisdom about this. So we recognize what is happening. We are able to make our own decisions, discern for ourselves. Once you combine ethics with wisdom, this then begins to cultivate a sense of intention, wishing to do something. Here, Guru Nanak talks about Ithe kariye surt mat man buddh, that when we combine these two elements together, ethics and wisdom, we begin to cultivate and refine our awareness, Surut. Our worldview begins to change. I am sorry to tell you this, but unfortunately you are going to discover, many people will discover, that their belief systems, what they have been taught to believe by their religious authorities, by their education systems, by their leaders, by their social interaction, their cultural norms, has actually been a lie. Not has it been a lie, it has been a deliberate lie in order to harvest you. And many people may not be able to deal with this. And you can understand the frustration, the disbelief, the depression, and the anger that may arise. So it's important to have the wisdom in order to know what is going on. And it is important to have the ethics to know not to react to this stuff, but to respond with clarity, to respond with attentiveness. So out of this intention which we cultivate within, it has a whole new power within itself. This power, this intention, now synchronizes itself with the unfolding hukam, the unfolding nature of existence. The unfolding nature of existence that you're seeing around you. While every human being seems to be panicking, you will find that the birds, the trees, the animals seem to be free. No panic. The earthworms are still there. The apples are still there. The wind is still there. Everything is moving as it needs to move. Everything is going through this cycle of start, middle, end. This is what hukam is. The unfolding nature of existence. You are not the center of the universe. You are but a part of this universe. And unfortunately, no external savior is going to come and rescue you. You need to rescue yourself. And you can only rescue yourself if you first learn to sit with yourself. So you rescue first yourself from your conditioned mind, your brainwashed sense of self, your worldview. Your worldview, like many other worldviews, are about to crash. And this can be a very hard part to accept. So meditation allows us to see our mind for what it is. And by recognizing the mind for what it is, we are able to navigate ourselves through the changes we're going through. So the third stage is the development of your internal intention. And then we harmonize this intention with what's going on around us. Help those that need help. First help yourself. Wake up. Wake up from your slumber. Wake up that they will come and rescue you. Wake up that all this is happening for your safety. For this is how it's used. You induce fear first, so the sheep look for safety. And then you offer them the safety with the other hand. So one hand induces fear, while the other hand offers safety. This is a game you're being played. Once we harmonize our intention with the unfolding nature of life and existence, armed with our ethical sense of self, armed with self-knowledge and knowledge of what's going on around us, we are able to then put our intention into action. Karam Khand. Your intention will create your actions. However, if your intentions are reactive because you have been freaked out, then the chances are that your actions will be reactive. Your actions will be not based on discernment and clarity, but on confusion and self-preservation. Only once we harmonize our intention with the actions and the unfolding nature of what's happening, in other words, accept what's happening, that things are going on as they need to go on, accept that. And through this, much will be revealed. Through this, you will learn much about yourself. Through this, you will also learn much about how we have been conditioned, brainwashed and trapped. And out of this, you will find your freedom. You can only walk out of the prison if you first know you are in the prison. So here, our Karam Khand, our actions become meaningful. And then finally, we go to a state of authenticity, Sach Khand, a state of sovereignty, where you are a sovereign being. You are not a sheep. So the 5 states of transpersonal development, according to Gurmat, understanding of the sense of self, are Dharm Khand, ethics, Gyan Khand, wisdom, knowledge about self and knowledge about what's happening out there. Being able to make decisions based on your intuition, not on your brainwashing. Sharm Khand, cultivating intention that is fed and empowered through ethics and wisdom, and not through ego, not through sense of self-preservation, but here a sense of sovereignty, moving towards your authenticity. Put those in action, Karam Khand, this becomes your sense of authenticity in time and your sovereignty. So while we are going through our mental states or psychological states of shock, disbelief, anger, depression and acceptance, we also have this opportunity to grow, to become sovereign as per the understanding that we can transcend our sense of self, our worldview, our ego space. My message to you today is very simple. Trust your gut. You within yourself know something is right or wrong. And if it feels wrong, it is wrong. You are all, like every other individual, part of the same ocean, part of the same source. Fear not, you are looked after. Thank you.